stay on mute. Huh?
Oh, acha, we are preparing to live stream the meeting.
আচ্ছা।
We are live. উপরে লেখা আসতেছে না?
Yes.
Okay. আমি মোবাইল দিয়ে
Do you want it to
ফেসবুকে
be
ঢুকে থাকি,
Bangladesh or
তাহলে
English?
বোঝা যাবে।
Mixed language or English only? Does it matter? You are frozen again.
English. Whichever one you're comfortable with.
No, that's easier.
I sent you the link. Did you get it?
Let me set it to relevant people. Okay. Let me. How do I copy it? It doesn't let me copy the link, but it is what it is. It's okay. Let me click on it and see if I can paste it into.
Yes, we are live right now, Afrin.
Yeah. Okay, I can't. It's okay. Let me know when you want to.
Okay. So let's wait for a few more minutes. People are joining right now.
So I'm just going to share it so everybody can join.
We're just taking a few more minutes. Okay. Okay, we're starting. So, assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Okay, so I am, we are like, I've been wanting to arrange this gathering for a long time. So good evening to everybody. CMIS has been working really hard for different social awareness programs. And this is like one that is very close to everybody's heart. So today we have with us Afrin Hafiz, and she is going to address one of the most crucial questions that parents are asking right now, that how do we control our children during the pandemic? What are we going to be doing? So, and the reason is being that especially in Bangladesh and in other countries, they do have the opportunity, but still, especially in Bangladesh, for the last 15 months, schools and colleges and all education institutes are closed. However, education does not stop. So most people have been able to migrate to online learning situations and others. So obviously, those of us who are availing this system are giving handheld devices or the laptops or the tabs and everything to our children. So the most common question is, how can we control our children from like stopping them or stopping them from misusing this digital world? So we are going to be talking about how parents can utilize the online resources available to help their children learn new skills, and also make sure that with proper guidance and routine it becomes very fruitful for them. So let me introduce Miss Afreen Hafiz. She is a very popular Instagram and YouTube content creator, and she has utmost like experience with this sector as well. So without further ado, let's go over to her so that she can introduce herself.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I live in Toronto, Canada. I know Humaira from Bangladesh when we were in school. I have two kids. I have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. It is extremely hard, especially during pandemic, to keep your kids busy because I'm also a working mother on the side. So blogging is more like a hobby for me, but I actually have a full-time job. I run our family businesses here in Canada. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know, you don't have a 9 to 5 schedule and you're always working. So balancing that with parenting, because you want to make sure you're teaching your child the right things. Because in all honesty, if we are not bringing up our children to be good human beings, then there's no point in me earning money or, trying to live, like trying to earn more for a better life if your kids themselves are not good human beings. So I try to balance both. I try to keep a nice environment at home so that they don't feel like they're missing their mom. At the same time, I can keep a watch on what they're doing. So that's basically my introduction. There's nothing much to say.
Uh, Okay. So Afreen, like, you have two kids. So like you were like brought up in Bangladesh, but your motherhood has begun in Canada. So like with your first child, how did it happen? Like the routine that you set, what made you decide that no, I won't allow them, especially in this digital era, I won't allow them to be brought up in the way that we were brought up, because we were privileged. Let's be honest about it. We had everything was very, very flexible, but nowadays there are so many challenges coming up. So what made you decide that no, I will set a routine for my child?
So the first thing that happened was with my first child, I wasn't working when I had him. So I had more flexibility. So I was more staying at home and I was able to control what he was watching. Um, Living here in Canada, I think, played a big role because I was always worried that my children are not going to learn about their culture, their religion enough. And that made me really worried all the time. And I wanted to make sure that he had an environment where he learned about it, not just from books or TV, but from home as well, just by watching. Because a lot of things kids do is by following their parents. They watch what you do and they copy that. So it all started from there because when you live in Bangladesh, you have so many people around you. You are in a country with a majority Muslim, and it's more of a given that even if you have tablets, you think that they're going to learn because everybody around them is Muslim. But because we were here, I was really worried about um, what they're learning from outside, because there's so many different kinds of people. It's a little bit different from Bangladesh too, right? Because in Bangladesh, we send our kids to certain school. We can choose which school we want to send them. Here, if you're not sending your kids to private school, if they're going to regular public school, you really don't have a lot of choice. So like little things, all of these added up, and I wanted to make sure that they're learning the right thing. So obviously, phones and tablets are so readily available. So the first control started from there because that's the first point of contact where I want to make sure they're not exposed to things that are not appropriate for their age or things that will help them learn. So that's how it mainly started.
Okay, that's great. Definitely, like we were talking previously, and you said that living in Canada actually helped you set your own rules. So, how do you think, like, what was the role that the rest of your family members, for example, your spouse and others, like, this is one of the main things, like, we face in Bangladesh, as in, like, I have spoken to other parents and others that whenever they want to establish something, they face a lot of obstacles. So, did you face any obstacles like that?
Yes, of course. Like I said, it started, like the inspiration started because I was living here. But in the end, this is something that was applicable to everyone, even people in Bangladesh, because you have to understand, I left Bangladesh when I was 18. So many things have changed. There was no iPhone when I left Bangladesh, and there's iPhones and iPads and all these things. So the situation is actually pretty similar. We're not too different from Bangladesh right now. And I'm sure these are all applicable there. Here, I have my family here. So I do face obstacles, like especially with adults who have lived most of their life in Bangladesh. They'll say something like, "It's okay, let them watch a little bit more TV," or like just give them the iPad and they'll be busy. They won't bother you, um, because we don't have helping hands here, and we have to do a lot of the work by ourselves. So many times parents find it easier to handle the tablet, like to just hand over the tablet and then do whatever they have to do, because the kid is not going to come and bother you.
Mm.
So initially, I've had problems where, like not my immediate family, because they were more understanding of the concerns I had, but of friends. Like when I had large gatherings, nobody directly told me not to do it, but they would give it to their own kids. And then my child will come and say, how come they have a tablet when they're at a gathering or an event and I don't have anything to play with? So that's the kind, like I had different kind of challenge. I'm sure it's harder in Bangladesh where you have extended relatives, because here I have my parents, my in-laws, my uncles and aunts, but these are all my very immediate close family members. And I told them from the get-go that this is how the rule's gonna be, because I'm like, you are not gonna be babysitting my kids. It's not Bangladesh. I will have to be the one who has to deal with all the tantrum, all the psychological impact that comes with handling devices for so long. So, please be understanding of the problem that I will be facing when you guys are not here with me, because you're here temporarily visiting
Mm.
us, and telling me, if you're not going to support me, it's going to affect me in the long run, and I'll be the one who's suffering. So you have to make them
Mm.
understand with scientific data, because a lot of times that really helps, rather than this is my rule, I just don't want my kid to do this. You want them to understand the problem, the underlying problem with handling devices, the psychological problem, the physical problem, because kids will have, like, there are nerve problems that arise from using phones or tablets, and then not to miss all the blue light that goes into the eye too. So yeah, I did face obstacles, but probably not as bad as it would have been if I were in Bangladesh, because then I would have my other family members coming in. But most of my obstacles were people of our age, like our friend circle, having kids similar to my children's age who were allowed, and then my kid wasn't allowed. So that was not that big of a deal, but I had a lot of support from parents, in-laws, and spouse. Alhamdulillah,
Okay.
honestly.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so you just mentioned something about, like, the mental stress and the other things and the physical problems that your child, like, you did not want your child to face. So what were the first things that you were thinking about? Like, we have heard about speech delays and other issues that children do face, that those children who have been exposed to devices at a very early age, like they speak very late, and sometimes because it's a one-way communication. So were you worried about those things as well?
Yeah. So my son started speaking very late. He started speaking at 3. It's not late because I know a lot of people speak even later, but 3 was still late because he wouldn't say a single word besides mama and dada. And that's really nothing for a 3-year-old. So we went to a lot of speech therapists. But with his problem, what we figured out later was because of the language. Because um, when we would watch TV, because he would watch TV, we would give him like cartoons and stuff when he was young. But and then he would hear Bengali at home, and then he would watch English on TV, and that really confused with it, like confused his brain. All that's what the doctors told us at the time, that the two different languages are confusing him. But at the time he was really young, so he wasn't ready to go to school or anything. But as soon as that happened, we actually had to switch to English, unfortunately, because we figured we needed him to talk. So I don't know if it was because of screen. Could have been, because I was a first time mom. So in the very beginning, I wasn't really worried about having a lot of screen time as long as I'm controlling the content. So I was still controlling the content, but I let him watch what he was watching. But that's also not helpful. Like if you think that he's watching good thing, even then it's not good for them to have prolonged period of screen. And partially to blame is that right before I had my son, I had a skiing accident. So physically, it was hard for me to stay with him at all times. I would need a lot of rest. So it was easier for me to keep him in front of the TV. But then with my daughter, she was allowed zero screen until she was 2. So literally no screen, not even for 5 minutes. So when she was born, all the way until 2.5, no screen, period. Like there is no, um, there was no room for that. So she
Mm.
didn't even know what it was like to have a phone or a tablet in front of her, because we kept it completely away from her, and she didn't have a speech delay. So it could be,
Oh.
in all honesty, it could be a reason why my son had a delay. But we still don't know. They tell us
Okay.
it was because of the language difference, but I honestly don't know. But yeah, that's how that. And then I've seen, like, towards the beginning of the pandemic last year, when I was getting overwhelmed because I'm not used to working from home. So it was getting very overwhelming. And at one point, I told them, whenever you're done with school, just go watch TV, or I'd give them an iPad to keep them quiet because I'm in a meeting. I have
Mm.
noticed that the kids get very cranky and agitated. They
Mm.
become very short tempered. Their whole persona changes when you give them so much screen. So I immediately had to stop and go back to the routine, because we'll come back to that routine part later. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let me go to my next question, and that is that in this time of digital dominance, how did you actually use the online resources to your advantage? Like most of us, we are failing to utilize, like, you just said that we give it to keep them quiet or something, but how did you make it into a learning tool?
So one thing I did was, on their tablet, I removed all Wi-Fi, but then I downloaded videos that I thought was helpful for them, and then I put them on the tablet. So they could only watch the videos that's in the tablet stored in it. I would take it from YouTube or, like, other resources, and I would put it there. So that's one thing I did, because I wanted to control their like what they were watching, because it's very hard to get carried away. If I don't know if you know, but there is a YouTube cartoon for Peppa Pig that are that goes, like, they're really messed up stuff that's created using the Peppa Pig cartoons. And it became quite viral where parents were, told that make sure your kids are not watching it. So I didn't have to face any of that because um, since they were young, I know I said that my son used a
Hmm.
lot of screen. I used educational videos. So I would download them and put them in the um, laptop or iPad, whatever tablet that they're using. And that's how it's been. Even with my daughter now, she has a folder on her school laptop where if she wants to watch videos, like whenever it's time for her to have some entertainment, that's what she watches. Like my TV has a password on. So like Netflix or Disney Channel, whatever they want to watch, everything has a password on. I have to know what they're watching. That's one thing I did, like controlling the content. Second thing with my son who's 9, his laptop is set up in a way where anything that he searches will come into my phone. So I did that with Microsoft Family Sharing. So you are able to do that. I think Google also has a similar program. So you can control what apps they can use on the laptop, what they're searching on Microsoft Edge browser. I did that. And then I also went in because I didn't want him to use other browsers to watch YouTube or whatever not. So I set up their computer where certain websites are completely blocked. So there's no way for him to access those websites. So like YouTube, Netflix, like all those video platforms and stuff like that. So I have blocked them, but I'm also monitoring what else because there's so many. Like, how many are you gonna block? There are ways to allow only certain websites. Unfortunately, I can't do that because both my kids are in virtual school. So a lot of times teachers, so I can't do that. But if you're a parent who can do it, do it. Like you are able to block off everything. Also, there are softwares too to monitor. I have heard of many softwares, but I personally have not used any. I just use the Microsoft Family Sharing for their laptop. So their screen time is also limited like that. So I've set up their laptop in a way that their school starts at 9. So they're only able to turn it on at 9 o'clock. And then school ends at 3:30. I give them half an hour. So the shut off time is at 4. So even if they want to, they can't turn on the laptop. It's not going to turn on. So these are like some of the ways that I'm controlling um, their screen usage. They don't have tablets. Um, my son has one because he was gifted by my brother-in-law, but it's with me. I don't give them tablets. It's not, there's no room for that. When they were young, we would carry it. Like, say, we went to someone's house and they're bothering, we would give it to them for those scenarios. But these days, I don't do that. And in all honesty, kids do need to play, like to stay relevant. They want to play online games. They want to do because they know that their friends are playing, so they don't want to feel like left out. They don't want to feel left out. So in those scenarios, what I would suggest parents to do is to be involved. That's what I do. I play online games with my son too. So I make sure that I'm with him when he's playing. So this is something you have to take that time out of your day for your child. So he's not always allowed to play, but when he plays, I'm playing with him in my computer. So in the online world, we're together playing. So I'm watching everything that's happening.
Hmm.
And this might sound bad, but in the long run, it really helps because, they're so young. I might not have to do it when they're older enough, but I have to do it now because they're not matured enough to know what's good for them and
Hmm.
what isn't.
Okay. So that means basically you're ensuring their online safety, like you are instilling in them values that will make sure that they understands that this is right, this is wrong. Like, the scruples, they are understanding, no, that, and it's not only about that somebody is watching me. It is like, am I allowed to enter this website? So they are going to be asking questions. forever throughout their life, that am I allowed to do this, not for others but for themselves, which is really really good. So apart from that, like what advice do you have to like the guardians, or like, so what can they do apart from setting passwords or scheduling the class times or the laptops and everything? Do you think, like you just mentioned, that we should have a very open relationship with our children, like taking time out from our calendar and making sure that we spend quality time and everything? So what else do you suggest to parents to do?
So for parents who are very busy, I suggest to create a routine for your child, which I think really helps. Coming from a Muslim family, I do want my children to learn about Islam and all of that stuff. So what I do is like they know that their fixed routine is as soon as they wake up in the morning, they have to do their salah and they have to do Quran. My daughter is too young, but my son knows. My daughter knows that if she wants to watch any cartoon, she has to watch few surah videos first. So it's something that I have created, which it sounds like a strict rule if you look at it that way, but it has become such a normal routine now that they don't even feel like it's anything. Like it comes naturally to them. Like, you wake up, you do all of that, and then before you go to bed, you practice all the duas. So my advice to parents would be to create a routine and be involved with them, set examples. Like if you tell your child not to watch TV, but you're watching TV for hours, that's not a good example. If you tell them not to touch the tablet, but you're on the phone, that's not a good example. Like my kids know that because we're working from home now, it's harder because we have to be on our phone and computer. But at the same time, you have to make them understand what's work and what isn't work. And then they have to like then they know that okay, mom is not like on social media on the phone all the time. Of course you can do that, but we also have to set an example ourselves too. So I think that's a big part as parents we play. And most importantly, like Humaira already mentioned, we need to have an open relationship. So if they do something wrong, encourage them to speak the truth. Let them know that if they speak the truth, they're not going to be punished. Like my son gets away with a lot of things because he tells me what he did. Because he'll be like, "Mommy, I'm sorry I did this," and I'll be like, "Okay, because you told me, I'm not going to punish you." So that way you encourage honesty. At least you know what's happening. Even if they do something wrong with their friends, like say, like in my household, stupid is a bad word. So that's as bad as it gets. Language is something we control. And you can't tell kids not to use certain things and then you use it yourself. No. I have to I have to be very self-aware of the kind of language I'm using myself too. Because like I said, at the end, it is all about setting an example for
Hmm.
your kids. That's the way to teach them and have an open relationship.
Hmm.
Very
So the
friendly.
next, yes, excellent. The next thing that I would actually like is like we just spoke about how you pass the criticism. Like, if they do something incorrect and they are honest with you, speak about it. You make sure that they understand that this is not right. So, how do you actually motivate your children? Like, to set up the routine. I myself, like, not only myself, like most parents, okay, fine, you do this, I will give you this. You do this, I will give you this. But how do they like get the positive motivation also from you?
So when they're young, they only understand rewards, right? Like if you do this, we'll give you this. That's all they understand when they're young. But as they grow old, they understand why certain things are done certain way. For example, I'll explain. Like even last year, when I told my son that too much screen time makes you cranky, he's like, he's somebody who always wants evidence. He's like, where's the data? So I showed him few YouTube videos where they talked about the impact of having too much screen. And then this year he was telling me that, "Mommy, you know what, you're really right, because I keep getting angry with Amara ever since I've been on my computer too much." So you have to make, like, it depends on your child. If your child likes scientific evidence, present them with that. like for example, if it's something religious, I'll say, um, Allah will be happy if you do this. And I always talk about the positive, not that Allah will be angry, more like what will make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy. So that's what we try to implement at home. Like, okay, screen is bad for you. This is bad for you. Instead of the bad, we focus what is good for them and we shift the focus to that. So
Okay. Hmm. So we have quite a few questions that are coming on Facebook Live, and one of the most common questions that they are asking is, how did you involve your child in Quran? Like, your child has a YouTube channel, which is very, very motivating for many, many parents. So how did you start that? Like, you being a content creator, how did you come up with that?
So when he was young, from a very young age, we introduced like Arabic letters, like the alphabets. Then slowly we would, because we play surahs a lot, like in car, at home. So he gets to hear that, and we made, like I said, like it started with the routine. How it's with my daughter now. You have to listen to surah before you watch cartoon, or you have to do this before you do that. So it started as a normal routine, and then slowly he got interested in it. And because it's hard for me, I have a very busy life, so it was hard for me to take him to Quran class. So we would look up like YouTube videos on pronunciations, tajweed, and like little things like that. And we'd watch it together, or I'll say, okay, let's try to memorize this surah together. And obviously, being children are so good at memorizing, right? They're much better than adults. So he would be better than me, and that would make him even feel better. Oh, okay, mommy, I know better than you. I'm like, yeah, sure, you do. So little things like that. So it started with making him watch YouTube videos and surahs. And then once I saw that he was slowly getting the hang of reading Arabic by himself, because he did it all by himself, he didn't have a teacher. Um, my sister-in-law gifted him a Quran. And then I told him, why don't you try to read it? Because Alhamdulillah, he was able to read the Quran by himself by then. And it's years of practice from watching YouTube videos. um, if you control what your child watches, they really learn. Like you have, like if you make them watch things that are meaningless and just a waste of time, then that's what it's gonna be, a waste of time. But if you give them things to learn, then they will learn, because there are so many things available online that are good for them. So he watched a lot of learning videos online. That's what like I said, I would download them and I'd keep them in their tablet, which would help them to learn. So that's how it started. And then once, I made a rule that you have to read like 5 pages of Quran every morning. And, Alhamdulillah, his recitation was good. He is really inspired by Sheikh Mishari Al-Afasi. So, he would try to recite. And then I thought, if when Ramadan came around the corner, we discussed, like I talked to him, I'm like, do you think it'll be a good idea if you start? Because he told me first, he said, Mommy, I want to finish the whole Quran from beginning to end during the month of Ramadan. So I said, do you think it'll be a good idea if I make a video of it? Because then other kids might be encouraged. And anytime someone listens to it, you get a reward and it keeps multiplying. And then that got him really excited. So that's how he did that.
Hmm. So we are at the end of our session actually. So we are still receiving some questions. So parents are actually interacting, and they're saying, someone say that open communication without being judgmental is very good. So this is like a very important thing, like for our parents, especially in Bangladesh, that yes, actually, and we are not here, we're like we're going live internationally. So if we are getting questions from all over the world, which is really, really encouraging. That this, yes, the Android era or the things, it doesn't necessarily need to be like shackles for us. It can be something that actually allows us to be making our kids into positive role models. So like, I'm sure your son now realizes that so many hundreds and hundreds of people has watched his videos, so they're all gaining rewards from, and it doesn't only need to be something that you can memorize. You can actually even watch some video and learn how to paint, or you can learn how to sew, or you can practice your English, you can practice sewing,
Anything,
anything. So
anything.
exactly, it's and obviously the involvement of the parent is very, very important. So they are all discussing about these things as well. We just received a question which says, oh, okay, so how can we handle those children who are already distracted from learning stuff, like children who watch YouTube, and how do we make the routine, or how do we motivate them without them getting arrogant? So how do we do that?
So
They're
I
reacting or they're
personally think
misbehaving or things like that.
you have to go cold turkey, shut off everything. Because honestly, it's very hard to do it slow and I don't know, like when kids are too addicted to TV, even if you reduce it, because last year that because I faced a similar problem with my son last year during the beginning of the pandemic. I told him to reduce it, but they can't control themselves. They're playing and then they're like, "Oh, mommy, sorry, I went over 15 minutes." Then they'll be like, "Sorry, I went over an hour." You know, um, so we have to be the one who are controlling it. They can't. If your child is already, too addicted, if they have a tablet, take the tablet away. Take the tablet away. Unfortunately, if they say why, I don't know, make up something. I mean, we shouldn't be lying, but say like my electricity is high up or something. Like take it away from them. But you have to keep them busy with something. By the way, that's something you have to keep in mind. If you take the tablet away, play with them. Play some sort of a game with them. Play some sort of a sport with them. If you're indoors, I don't know, play chess, play Uno, play something with them. Because in the end, they want entertainment. But we need to understand something. Entertainment through screen satisfies us faster than other uh, methods of entertainment. So kids prefer the screen more. But you have to. You can do a slow transition. It might work for you, or you can just shut off everything down. It depends from child to child. They might throw a tantrum in the very beginning. They might go crazy, but it'll work out towards the end. And learning, you have to make learning fun, not like a chore or like a punishment. You have to make it fun, so you can make it part of a game that you're playing, or it all depends how you are creating it. It varies from child to child too. So.
Okay. So we have one question which says that how did you keep your daughter away from screen time for entire 2 years?
So with my daughter, funny thing is, I was actually working when she was a baby. So for 2 years, we would play. I would play with her actively whenever she was not in daycare. When she's in daycare, she was in daycare playing with her daycare friends. But even at home on the weekends, we would play together. Like, whatever toys she's playing with, if she's playing with blocks, I will sit and play with her. So it comes with a lot of sacrifice. And even my spouse, he would do that because we both worked together on not giving her screen. Because if you think about it, we didn't have screen growing up. When we were young, what did we do? We played with the randomest things, and
Hmm.
that's what my kids do now. Like they will find the weirdest things around the house, and then they'll make up stuff and they'll play with them, because then kids start becoming creative, right? Once they don't have screen, their brain starts thinking of other things to play with. So yeah, the
Yeah, the
first time she
most
had
common
screen was at
question
her
nowadays
daycare.
is, oh, so like the most common thing we hear from kids, they're like, I'm so bored. What to do? What will I do? How will I keep? So, actually, harnessing that boredom is also very, very important. So, we just have a question from Butena. She's from Singapore, and she's asking, like, how do you, Mani, what did you think that was there a change in parenting style from different kids? Like, from your, what worked for your first child might not be working for your second or for your third. So she's asking
Yeah,
that.
for sure, there is. My son is more obedient than my daughter. It's harder. My daughter will throw a tantrum. So it's very different, because when I would tell my son I need to do something, he would listen to me, faster than Amara. So I have to bribe her more. It is a little bit different. So that's why I'm saying, like, when you're trying to get your children off of screen, you have to use your own method. It's all trial and error, because each child is different. Um, yeah, like Aideen at Amara's age learned a lot of things. He knew the 99 names of Allah by the age of 4, but Amara doesn't even know Alif Bata Satur, like, all the alphabets. She doesn't even know her ABCDs properly. But I would say the pandemic has partially to blame because, I'm working all the time and she's not getting proper training. But at the same time, when she's refusing to learn, she doesn't care. She's like, okay, I don't want to watch this, but I don't want to watch TV. We'll do something else. So she's not saying,
Hmm.
okay, I still want to watch TV, but I'm not going to watch this, because she knows that I'm not gonna let her do it. Sometimes she will come up and say, okay, mommy, maybe put Surah Fatiha for me. Then I'll watch some cartoon when she's really craving it. Yeah, it is very different from child to child.
Okay. We have lots of messages regarding like appreciation for your strict routine,
Thank you
if
so
you
much.
want to say that. Alhamdulillah. And we have got parents who are saying that they are also establishing the same routine at home, like they're learning surahs together as a competition between the child and the mother. And, the other parents are also like the other family members are getting inspired by it. We have a appreciation coming in from UK as well. So they are saying that it's very important to technologically monitor your children's activities online. So we have a very important question over here, and I'm sure this is not like right now it's that important for us, but yes, when we start, like they are asking about how to block certain sites for preteens and adolescent children, like because of the availability of the devices continuously to them, they are accessing different websites. So are there any things like any software, or how will they do it, like, so
So
because
you can
most
block
people.
the sorry,
No, no,
I
carry on.
got your question. So you can block the websites from the computer itself. Yeah, there are many softwares. I don't have any software that I use. You can block it from your computer. There are ways to block it. There are instructions you can find online to block it. I forget what I do. There's like a command that you have to do, and then type in the website. In that what do you call that dialog box, and the whole website will be blocked from the computer. So that's what I do. Like, that's how I blocked off YouTube. Like, none of the
Hmm.
browsers will open YouTube for them.
Hmm,
So
that's good. So
there
is
are
there
ways to,
any,
yeah.
okay, so
I
is
can
there any
find it and
way
I can
that,
give you.
yes, definitely do that. Is there any way you can remotely control or see what your child is watching? Like you are not in the same room, but he's watching something. That is another of the questions. So, like they are watching something, and they know that mommy can't come and see me. But is there any way that you can mirror his screen or things like that, or see what website he has accessed?
There might be softwares. I know there are softwares for monitoring. With my son, he is like, whenever he's using Microsoft Edge, not Google Chrome, because I've set him on family sharing on Microsoft Edge. So whatever he searches, whatever he visits, I can see it in my phone. So if I go to, say, your son is, or your daughter is doing something in the computer and you want to know what they're doing, well, you might not know what they're doing exactly at that moment, but if you log on to your, uh, you know, family sharing thing in your phone or your own laptop, you can see the data for whatever they've looked for since, like, for the whole day. So it'll give you
Mm-hmm.
all the details on the websites that. So you can't really see the screen itself, but you can see the website links. Like, if they search for something, it'll say so and so searched for this, or they went to Wikipedia, this. Like, it's gonna give you all the links, so you can follow those links to see what they're looking at. But in all honesty, if you want it to be mirrored, there has to be, like, there are softwares for this, so there has to be some sort of a software that needs to be installed. I personally don't know which softwares work, but I do know that there are. I've heard of many
Okay.
softwares that
So we have
people
a
use.
question which asks you, what is your opinion that do you think metropolitan cities children are more addicted to mobiles?
No, not necessarily. It all depends on because I live in a city. I live in a very busy city. I live in Toronto, so I don't live in a suburban area. And you know, but it actually it all depends on what you're doing at home, right? Like because if you say, okay, I live in Dhaka city and Dhaka is so busy, people can't go out. Uh, but if you think back, we all like a lot of us grew up in Dhaka city, and there were no tablets or iPhones, or there was only BTV at some point. There was no cable TV, right? And how did we live? We would make paper boats, play on the rooftop with water. We would make little things with papers and play at home, or would play with our own toys. In the end, it all depends on um, what you're creating at home, because once a child gets addicted to screen, it's very hard for them to find fun in non-screen activities. And
Mhm.
it's a scientific problem, so it's not their personal issue. Scientifically, our brain finds the entertainment, the pleasure in screen more, and it's faster pleasure over playing with physical toys. So it's very hard for them to find fun in it, and they get bored very easily. Like my son will tell me, my kids are not perfect. My son will tell me, I'm bored. Like sometimes he'll be like, Mommy, I'm so bored, there's nothing to do. And I'd say, be bored. Well, being bored is good for your brain because it recharges your brain. um, I usually, like, when we go out, my bag always have like color crayon box and activity books. I always carry them with me to avoid screen. Say we're in a restaurant, not all restaurants will have kids activity. Some restaurants will have it, so they'll give it to kids. But in case they don't have it, I'll give it to them. And it's a new thing for them, right? Because normally at
Mhm.
home they don't get to play with that whatever puzzle book or coloring book, whatever it is. It's like, okay, a new
So
toy,
it
and
still
kids
remains
get
like an
excited.
attraction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I usually do that. So little things here and there, but you have to be involved in your child's life. Because in the end, trust me when I say this, they want their parent more than they want their screen. Even if you're a working parent,
True.
you can work around. It's all about prioritizing. You can work around your, like, if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. Like even when my daughter used to go to daycare, I would make sure that she has, spend time with me at the end of the day. I'm giving her enough time um,
Okay.
on the weekends. So we have
Okay. So
to
I
cut
think
off
we
a little
have
bit of
time for one
socializing.
last question.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one last question. This is like actually connected to what we spoke about previously. Is that does the children know that you're monitoring them?
My
Like
son
you
does.
can,
It depends on you. I
okay.
would say tell them, because if you don't tell them, they might do stuff that you might not be happy about when you see it. There's nothing wrong with letting them know that you are seeing it, unless you think that
Hmm.
it's not good for, because every children varies. But a lot of times we become self-aware when we know someone's watching, so we prevent ourselves from doing certain things. And I personally would want my child to avoid doing something because he's worried, okay, mom is gonna watch, let me forget about it and not do it. Like, I know we all want our kids to not know and be the good kid even when we're not watching, but a lot of times they're just children, they don't know, they get carried away. And websites are like one thing leads to another. You click one link, then you find 10 links, and you click another, and and before you know, it's too late, and they've learned something that's not even relevant. Like yeah, I tell my son, and it doesn't even have to do with content that's not appropriate for age. Not just that, even with let's say hadiths and Quranic verses, there are so many incorrect information online. So I tell my son that too. I'm like, don't look for Islamic answers by Googling online. I'm like, you have to read the
Mm,
books. If you have a question, you ask me, I'll find authentic sources for you. Because, when we say online resources, it's not just, like some bad video or none of that, not just that. We have to look at the information too, right? Whether
mm.
Islamic or even learning stuff, scientific. If someone says online Earth is flat, he's gonna think, oh, okay, Earth is flat. So it's everything, little things here
Yes.
and there.
Okay, so we have lots and lots of questions coming in, but we will inshallah answer those in the comment section later. So because it's carrying along, and we can talk the entire night away. So anyways, I'm really grateful to you, Afrin, for making time and coming and
Thank you.
enlightening us about all this information, because I believe everybody in Bangladesh and all over the world are struggling with this handheld device, because we are working from home, or we might be with the very few privileged people who have children going to school, and like in physically going outside for school. But that's not the scenario for like 90% of the situation. So
Yeah.
this,
Yes.
many parents are not even aware of the dangers, that yes, they will be doing online schooling for maybe 3 hours a day, but the rest of the day, like maybe they're watching TV for 7 or 8 hours again. So we definitely need to put a limit to that, to like stop, like we have had so many issues coming up, people saying, the doctors are saying that children are facing headaches, they're facing eye issues and all this. These are all related. So let's get them outside from this digital world, and if they
Yes.
are here, make it into a fruitful one, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So
Yes. Like,
it was lovely having you. So
thank you so
please
much.
carry on.
No, thank you so much. That's what, like, I totally agree with you. Let's do that. Like, do whatever method works for you. I took the tablet away and I said it's lost. Do that if you have to do that. Turn off the Wi-Fi and say, okay, we have no internet at home. Like, go to extreme if you have to do it, but in the end, maybe make like a family game for your children to play with together. Talk to them, to ask about their friends, like, be their friend, see what's going on in their lives. These things do add up and help in the long run. I mean, we are in a challenging time right now. Both my kids are doing school from home, they're doing virtual school, no physical school since the pandemic started last year. So, I totally understand. Their school is 6 hours, 6.5 hours a day. And then after that, more TV, or like they have others, like I have recently enrolled my son to Quran classes, so then that is also online, right? You're still on the screen. So this just adds up, so we just have to monitor as much as we can, and hopefully we can help them to be better person, because in the end we are all trying. Like, I'm not saying I'm a perfect mother, no way, you know what I mean? We all have our struggles. Maybe we did good in one thing but we're failing in others. Like my daughter, she doesn't know her ABCDs. We're always laughing. I'm like, it's okay, she's 4. I'm not gonna drive her crazy, but every child is different. Thank you so
True,
much.
true.
Thank you for having
Okay,
me.
then
Thank you everyone for
yes,
watching.
it was lovely. It was wonderful having you here, and especially big thanks to all our viewers. They have been continuously knocking with questions, and if we answer those, it's going to take the whole night. So we will be getting back to those,
Yes,
inshallah, in
I'll
the
try to
comment
answer them,
section.
inshallah.
Okay, then thank you,
Assalamu
everybody.
alaikum.
We're going to be ending the live session. Wa alaikum salam and assalamu alaikum, everybody.